The issue regarding the wearing of religious items or symbols in schools is in fact a contentious one, not only in Britain but also in a myriad of other countries, including France, Germany, Holland and Australia. The topic was perhaps made ever more pertinent this week with the case of a 14-year-old Sikh girl, Sarika Singh, who was excluded from her school in South Wales for wearing a religious bangle. Despite the secretary of the Sikh Federation claiming that the bangle is in fact an article of faith, the schools see it differently. They say the bangle in fact contravenes their strict uniform policy, which stipulates girls may only wear stud earrings and a watch. This rule applies to all. Furthermore, all parents and students at the school are given a copy of the regulations and uniform policy at the beginning of every year, so surely the parents knew this in advance. Despite the new government guidelines saying that schools should act reasonably within the constraints of health and safety and teaching and learning practices, others say this is still unclear. Furthermore, the concept lacks precision, and what may be reasonable to one group may not be reasonable to another. Therefore, some argue that it's inevitable that there's going to be conflicts between pupils, parents and schools on what can and cannot be worn. So, what are the other options? Well, probably the most famous example is France. France is a country that has banned all religious items and symbols in schools completely. Their law stipulates that any conspicuous items may not be worn in schools, be it Muslim headscarves, Sikh turbans, Jewish skull caps, Christian crucifixes. It may sound fair because the rule doesn't exempt any persons. No one is discriminated against and applies to all. So, what are the options available to the British government? Maybe a common sense approach is needed, which incorporates religious beliefs with contemporary teaching practices. Furthermore, allowing schools to act reasonably, as the report says, is actually unclear. And maybe the government needs to set some guidelines, just stipulating what can and cannot be worn.